Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Is it still morning? Yeah.
Technically, I guess.
For another few minutes?
Like 8 more minutes.
Time has no meaning.
No, not since the pandemic. I just don't know what time means anymore.
And like, life is just bonkers.
Yeah.
And I can't keep track of time. Even though I do know when I need to be places and I do show up places.
Yeah. I've been traveling all week and then I leave tomorrow on another trip for work. And so I'm just like, what day is it? I feel like Jumanji when he's like, what year is it?
Where am I?
That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel right now. Where am I? Whose bed is this? What's happening?
Yeah. And not just like quick trips, but like across the country.
Yeah.
This next one will be easier.
Last week was DC, and so I'm still also like a little like weird time changey because it was only like 3-hour time difference, which is I feel like the worst because at least with like when it's like 8 or 10 or 12 hours or 16 or whatever it is, like I feel like okay, I'm really discombobulated for like a day or two, and then I kind of get more normal. But it was just like I was always like it's dinner time, but I should go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like just small enough to feel
wrong.
Yes, but like not big enough to
wrong
like
enough.
Well, and like I mean, not having really traveled internationally much since I was like a baby. I haven't experienced like a massive time difference, but I feel like from what everybody like, you're just so exhausted. As long as you can stay up until your normal bedtime, you're so exhausted you just honk out and you knock yourself back in order.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like I grew up until I was in my 20s, like traveling almost every year overseas, and going from like the States to Germany, it was the hardest because you would land at like 8 in the morning, and then you'd have to stay awake all day.
Oh no!
After you'd been on a plane for like 12 hours, that was the worst. Going to Japan from California was great because you'd land at night, and so you'd like eat something and you'd go to bed, and it was you'd wake up and it was fine. So.
I always feel it's even with the small time. I do feel like it's easier gaining time than losing time. So like it's hard going from West Coast to East Coast, but easier to go East Coast to West Coast.
Yeah, I don't know. I was such a mess. Like the first night was okay because I landed at like nighttime. Yeah, and it felt like nighttime, so I just like ate dinner when I got to the hotel and then kind of like hung out, and I was tired, so I went to bed. And then but the second night was the hardest. I was awake until 6 in the morning.
Oh no,
I could not sleep.
And then you'd get up at like what, 8 a.m. for the conference?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yes, it was
pass.
It was tough. Yeah, but this one is just Seattle, so it's same time zone, which I'm kind of messed up, so we'll see. But yeah, anyway, so if I'm a little kookier than usual, that's why. I've been home for 3 days and I leave tomorrow.
Man. Yeah.
Thanks. Oh, yes. So today we are talking about
I just threw
I know. I was like, oh yeah, I'm in here. So today we are talking about Parks and Recreation. If you probably can't see it all because of the framing, but I'm wearing a shirt that says Madam President If You're Nasty, which I got back in 2016, which I feel like I could wear it again. Yeah. Fingers crossed. All right. So Parks and Rec came out, it ran from 2009 to 2015. It was 7 seasons with a 2020 reunion special. It aired on NBC. It was created by Greg Daniels and Michael Schur. The showrunner was Michael Schur. Executive producers were Greg Daniels, Michael Schur, Howard Klein, David Miner, Morgan Sackett, Dean Holland, and Dan Gore. Sorry, I was just thinking that's a lot of men with the exception of potentially Morgan.
Yeah.
Starring, I mean, that said, who knows? Don't want to misgender anyone, but it starred Amy Poehler, Rashida Jones, Nick Offerman, Aubrey Plaza, Aziz Ansari, Retta.
It's just Retta.
It's just Retta. Oh, right. Sorry. Chris Pratt, Jim O'Hare, Adam Scott, and Rob Lowe. Literally. Sorry. That's all I think whenever I think of like Rob Lowe on the show. Literally.
I can only hear him saying Ann Perkins.
It's funny because like my Rob Lowe is West Wing Rob Lowe, who is so different than this guy.
Yes. Mine is definitely Parks and Rec Rob Lowe.
Yeah. I auditioned for this show.
Really?
Yeah. It was going to be a scene with him. And I had never seen the show, which is not good if you're auditioning. You should see what you're going into. But then like I hadn't seen it, and then years later I like was binge watching it trying to figure out which scene I auditioned for. It might have gotten cut because I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, and then I had never heard of it and hadn't watched it at all when they recorded an episode at Chapman University.
Oh yeah,
where we went, and I was working there at the time.
I did catch that one. I mean, I wasn't watching it, but
and I hadn't watched it yet, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And then I remember getting to that episode like years later, like, oh hey,
that's Memorial Hall. Yeah, it's just funny, like all the random shows that I apparently auditioned for. But yeah, it was a scene with Rob Lowe. So I don't. Anyway, the summary of the story is Parks and Recreation follows the misadventures of small town government in the fictional town of Pawnee, Indiana. It centers on Leslie Knope, idealistic mid-level bureaucrat for the for the town's Parks and Recreation Department. The show begins with her taking on plans to beautify the town by turning an abandoned construction site, the Pit, into a park with the help of her friend Ann Perkins. They are thwarted by bureaucracy, red tape, and her own eagerness to make the world better. The show later follows her various attempts at moving up in local politics alongside her fellow Parks and Recreation team. You can watch it on Peacock. And that's...
You can rent it on several other things, but I'm tired of writing all of those down, so I stopped.
Just get Peacock and watch it. It's an NBC show. It's on Peacock. All right. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have to say, like, I am a little bit sad that I didn't watch this when it was out. And like and I've only ever watched it once.
Okay.
So, because I watched it pre-pandemic for sure. But like I binge watched it on Netflix when it was back on Netflix.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am a little sad I missed it while it was out, but I also am a little like, would I have appreciated as much if I had watched it when it was out?
Maybe not.
You know, maybe not. Because like we were talking in one of the last episodes, like I've always been like political, but I haven't always been into politics all that much. You know, like to like more local levels. Like it was always about like the president and midterms, but it was never really like thinking about like school board, who's on our like local government, you know, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. And part of that is just being young and not knowing, and our civics education in this country is terrible, and et cetera, et cetera. And also like being in college and waiting tables for a living, and like, you know, that, and like oddly being affected, I think, more by local government than I would be now. Yeah. But, you know, anyway.
Yeah. I did not watch it when it aired either, obviously, as I just said. And it was one of those shows, I think we started, so my husband and I will pick up shows either after they've finished completely airing or when they're really close to it. Because we're impatient people and we don't like to wait.
Well, and they also feel that they have to rewatch the whole entire season before the next season comes out.
Well, because we do. I know we don't have to, but
I know.
We do. Because we like...
It's just funny.
We like the continuation story, and it feels like dropping in like halfway through the movie when I don't really have a clear remembrance of what happened before. So that's just what we do.
No, I know. I'm just teasing you, but I think that is why you wait so long. Yeah.
Otherwise we have to. So like, what are we watching right now that I convinced my husband, like, let's just go back one season, and rewatch that season. What are we watching?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. We just watched it like the other
This
night.
is also why they have to go back and rewatch it.
Exactly. I don't even know what I was watching
yesterday.
God, it's gonna bother me. It's gonna pop up at an inconvenient time. So when I just blurt out
a
random show name, you'll know it clicked. Anyways, so it's one that we picked up. We watched it, all the way through. We loved it. We thought it was hilarious. I think part of why I didn't pick it up right away is because the creators are the same creators from The Office. It was originally going to be a spin-off, and then they reworked it and ended up making it like a standalone show and but it's like because all of the marketing to begin, and there's an article for The Guardian that I put in the show notes.
Oh, I read that one too.
And it was like talking about like it came out like right before the show aired. So it was talking about like what the show was about, what the plans were, and how it, I don't know.
Oh, maybe I read a different one then. But yeah, it was originally going to, and maybe I never got into The Office either.
Which I didn't like The Office. We tried, but
I never watched it.
I just thought it was terrible.
I didn't watch it until like maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I watched the whole thing.
Parks and Rec or The Office?
The Office.
Oh.
And like there were and then I watched Parks and Rec. I think I'd already watched Parks and Rec. But I like hate watched it. The Office, not Parks and Rec. I love Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I like hate watch The Office because I have the unpopular opinion that Jim is a terrible person.
Yes. Oh no, it's not. I don't think it's.
Unpopular.
I agree.
But I do think it's like a very split. Like you either love Jim or you hate him, and I hate him.
No, he was so mean to Dwight.
He was so mean to everyone. He was mean to his wife.
Yes, he bought a house without talking to her.
Yeah.
No. Anyways, so we watched Parks and Rec, and it's one of those shows now that I think we watched it one other time all the way through, because sometimes we'll watch a really intense show or a few intense shows right in a row, and we need like a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
And so Parks and Rec has become one of our like palate cleanser shows.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
Yeah. Not that like 7 seasons isn't like a significant.
I want to rewatch it again. Like I didn't rewatch it for the podcast because like there are 7 seasons.
I also didn't because there's 7 seasons.
And like I remember a lot of why I liked it because I didn't watch it that long ago.
Yeah.
But I want to now rewatch it.
Well, and it's one of those shows where clips of the shows like pop up in my feed all the time. So I'm constantly remembered of like the show and scenes in it and blah blah blah. So
I always like rewatch West Wing. Like that is my like once a year kind of rewatch, and then it's gotten harder as politics has gotten harder because I just cry all the time because I'm like, why aren't people like this? But I think this needs to like get into the rotation of like an annual rewatch kind of thing.
I don't need it annually because that's a lot of time commitment that I don't have.
But
like once every couple years, like I think I need to. I think I'm ready for another rewatch pretty soon. It might be one of those shows that I put on in the background while I like get ready in the morning.
Yeah, like I say annually, but like
semi-annually,
every like 18 months maybe.
Ish.
You know.
Yeah.
But I really, this needs to get back into the works.
Yeah, especially now. I'm like, and we've talked about it kind of privately, but I know we both have expressed feeling reinvigorated with the election and with politics in general in the last like month.
Yeah.
And that's why like shows like Parks and Recreation I love so much because it really does highlight and feature like women in politics. And it brings it down to a local level, which I think is exciting because I mean, not only is local politics something that's so accessible to the everyday person, but it does affect your everyday life much more significantly than the president does in most cases.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Your school board and
people get so worked up about presidential elections and I'm like, these other ones are so much more important.
Well, and even you look at like COVID.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the policies were at a local level. Some states like California, we did enact mask mandates and things like that and stay at home orders, but it was really up to the local government to enforce those and to guide like their sheriff's departments and things like that. So even when it came to like COVID protocols, it was really up to your local elected officials to enforce those, and that's what really changed your everyday life even during that period.
Yeah.
So vote local.
Yes.
Get involved in local politics.
Just pay attention to them at least and vote. Yeah.
I have a friend actually, Katie, who is a local elected official.
Oh yeah,
in our
that's
hometown,
right.
and I'm so sorry I cannot remember her title, but it's something like a park related position. It's an elected position, and it's like something cool. Like she's not a political person; she has no aspirations to be like high politics, but it was something she could do at a local level, and that she had the time and ability to do. And I'm like, that's great.
Yeah, and if it's something that matters, you know, I've been thinking a lot more this past like year or so about getting more involved in like city not like city of Los Angeles but like my like North Hollywood area stuff, because there's like so many cool things. Like they did like a Lunar New Year festival and they it was like a block party and they blocked off the street near my apartment, and I was like, this is the kind of stuff I want to do. Like this would be fun. Like this would be a great way to be involved in like local, maybe not necessarily politics, but like local action, which is a part of politics, but you know.
I got really not involved. I watched closely local politics when I was living in Huntington Beach. But it was also, exciting.
That was at the politics, not at the city.
Well, I left the city too, so
I know.
It's not what it used to be.
No.
But and at the time this was in around the 2016 election and all kinds of stuff, and there was a lot of, and then I think 2 years later, the city council, so it was 2018, like the midterms, there were some people elected to the city council there that were like very colorful. Yeah. And not in a good way.
Or like the opposite of colorful.
I know. I don't know, I saw the color red a lot.
Yeah. I'm like, just wait. Well, I mean, Huntington is like Huntington is like the, what is it, like the KKK headquarters on the West Coast or something.
The worst one that got elected was not a white man.
Yeah. I mean, yes, we can all hate ourselves as much as we want to.
Yes. But it was, anyways. And so it was, I felt activated, and I was very involved in, like, I would write, comments into the city council, like this, no to this proposition, like, please support this one and why. And, and it was a heightened time, we were, especially maybe it was probably 2020 too. Yeah. So I was living, and it was at the end of 2020 that I moved, and now I'm not, and I need to get back involved, but now I'm in an even smaller city. So, there's just not a lot happening. And the city councils are exactly what you would expect city councils to be. And, instead of being like tons of comments from the community and now it's like, it's business. Yeah. Which is kind of what city council kind of should be to an extent. But,
hopefully you don't have tons of problems where people are like protesting mask mandates.
Yes. They're only exciting when there's controversy. And by exciting, I don't mean exciting, like exciting to watch. I mean
newsworthy.
Newsworthy and just a lot of activity and a lot of participation. Yeah. Because usually they're just running the city. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, we have gone on a tangent.
Well, it's on topic.
Yes. But Parks and Rec.
Yeah. It's funny too, because now my husband works he works for a city in Orange County. And like, just when he's talked about like all of the like weird requirements and requests, and there is a lot of like red tape and like things that he has to push through with like getting vendors onboarded and all the process that he has to do to bring on a new vendor. He works in like facilities management. And so it is funny. So like, we're now looking back now watching and like looking at Parks and Recreation, I totally see it. All the struggles that Leslie had just trying to get like this pit filled and made a park.
Right. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I really liked the show because I loved like the friendships. I loved the female friendships. I loved the intergender friendships. I
Donna and Tom are the best.
The best. I wrote Ron isn't a jerk because to Leslie, like, because she's a woman. It's because she's a person. Yes. Like, he just hates everyone, and like she's included in that, right?
Well, he dislikes her enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly.
Not her gender.
No.
And really, if anything, Ron really does respect the women that he works with in politics. Like, even April, like, who he respects in a different way because
oh my God, he loves April. Yeah. I know. Well, they're the same.
My favorite is when she started to book all of his appointments for March 31st because she thought there were only 30 days in March. Yeah. And that it was a fictional date. Yeah. And then on March 31st came and she's like, you have 90 appointments. No. Even though he didn't get upset, he just like, okay.
I love the circle desk.
Yeah.
Where you could just turn and turn and turn.
And then one woman is just like
running around.
Well, and I think that woman, like, didn't she pop up in a few city council? I mean, probably. It might just be a different actress that just very similar. Like, there was one that raised her hand at like a town hall and was like, I found a sandwich in the park and I want to know why there wasn't mayonnaise on it.
Ew. I forgot about that. Ew. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the friendships too. Leslie and Anne are like goals.
Yeah.
With her uncomfortable compliments.
And you beautiful mermaid. Yeah. I think that's what I liked. It's like, it's so different from the traditional like adversarial relationships that men tend to write for women. Yes. Like that we're always competing over a guy or a job or like whatever. And it's like, no, we're really not. Yeah. Actually. And the friends who are competitive, like, I really don't have a lot of patience for it. You know? Especially as I've gotten older.
Yeah. Well, they're not friends. They're just
frenemies.
Well, just people that we interact with. you know?
Yeah, but I mean, so you've never had like a friend who like you felt like was competitive with you or like tried to constantly like one up you or?
Like a close friend or just like a casual
Like a close friend?
No.
Oh, that's nice for you.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Not in the way that I think would make me upset.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's always some level of like jealousy on both sides,
mm-hmm.
you know, because everybody is achieving things at different times and doing different things.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like trying to one up, I don't think I've had a close friend that's been like that. Or if they were, they didn't stay a close friend long.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but I think it's refreshing to see, like, especially like when Anne's dating Mark, who Leslie was in love with forever and ever and ever, and things like that. Like it didn't.
I forgot about that.
It didn't. Like I don't remember it becoming this thing that like Leslie hated Anne because of it.
No.
You know, and Mark turned out to be a jerk anyway. So like.
Then they kicked him off the show.
Bye.
Mark Brandanowitz. He just had a cool name though.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that was like the thing that I really loved so much. And like her confidence and just like, this is the thing we should do.
Yes.
And like, just like that blind faith that it was all gonna just like happen and fall into place. And like, yes, there were struggles and there were moments, but you know.
And she did tend to steamroll people into what she thought was best. But I think that there's a lot to be said with having that kind of energy brought into, especially local politics. Mm-hmm. We need somebody with vision. We need people who have ideas, and we need people who are ready to take action for those visions. Mm-hmm. And Leslie Knope was definitely one of those people. Yeah. I would think my only criticism of like the show and her character in particular is the glamorization of the hustle. Yes. That we all need to be working, you know, 80 hours a day to get things done, and that we should feel excited to do that, and that that shows that we are good at our jobs and doing all of that. But I think that there was a lot of balance with the rest of the characters. Yeah. Who didn't, like, especially with Ron, who was like, no. Yeah. This is not my life, this is my job. And even like April, very similarly, she had passions and she was excited about them. Like
people, things, and doing stuff.
Yeah. Cats and dogs should be rewarded for not being people. I hate people. So she had things that she loved. Oh, and her other, I wanted to make fun of stupid people while I got drunk. My two true passions. So, you know, she had passions and she had things that she loved. Yeah. But then she worked in the Parks and Rec, and she ended up at the character arcs for these characters too were so fantastic. And then I love that it never changed who they were. They just grew into like these new like lives and roles. But anyway, so they all kind of offered like a nice foil to Leslie's like sometimes toxic positivity that it will all be okay and that we'll figure it out. Yeah. But that was my only struggle sometimes with her, and it didn't hit me when I watched it. But I think it's more looking back now, you know, because I'm a lot further along in my career, and it is exhausting. It's a lot of responsibility, and sometimes I question, like, what are we doing to ourselves? Not me for my job. I do love my job and the organization that I work for, but I do wonder what we are doing to ourselves as a society, celebrating this, like, hustle culture of, like, you have to, like, work.
Well, and there's a lot of, like, activist work out there now that rejects all of that, specifically for Black women, because, you know, it's exploitative. And if you haven't yet or don't know, look into the NAP ministry and look into there's a group, I think that it's AAPI like founded Collective Rest something. I'll try and post the links if I can, but like the NAP ministry is she's really all about Black women deserve rest. And it's not about women, it's not about all women, it's Black women, and her movement is for Black women. And there's a lot that we can take away from it, and it's great because I think that it's true. I think we have this idea that I think it's just capitalism, you know, like if you're not productive, you're not worthy of anything. Yeah. And I think I think we have to break that down. Yeah. I blame the West Wing for why I feel that way too, is because like, you know, my friend Lauren and I, we both like really love the West Wing, and we talk about it all the time. And last time I saw her, it was in DC, because she lives in like Maryland. And we were talking about that, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm actually really glad that I didn't end up working in politics. She was like, oh, I know. She was like, well, it's because we love the West Wing. Like, we think it's going to be like that. And I was like, no, there are not that many smart people in the world. Like, there are not, like, no one is that smart, you know. But it's that idea that, like, really, and I think that's what made the West Wing so magical, which I keep talking about it, but we're talking about Parks and Rec. But it made it so magical that it was all these, like, really brilliant people who also were so idealistic that they came together to, like, help run the country and move it to a better place. And yeah, it was just, yeah. But then I thought I had to work like 80 hours a week, and I didn't.
So yeah, I'm not a fan of the hustle. I think we need balance. And when you talk about like people are not that smart, one of the things that I wrote down as I was like kind of formulating my thoughts is just that like people like this vote about all of these like characters, and that was part of the funniest scenes in Parks and Recreation are all these like town halls or interaction with the community and the people and the things that they like bring to government and like care about. And it's like complainers just to complain, and like just the ridiculousness of it, like the sandwich, and that is really kind of true, and that people like this do vote, and that scares me. That is why people who are informed and who do care, and you're still not voting, like, what are you doing? Vote.
Literally, what are you doing? Literally, what are you doing? Literally. One of my friends' partners says that, like, says it like that, and every time I'm just like, Bravo.
Oh man. But yeah.
I have a quote from an article about Parks and Rec, because I was looking at a bunch of articles about just like the feminism in it, and you know, there are a lot of articles like celebrating the feminism of Parks and Recreation, and there's like one that I could only read the abstract of. I couldn't read the whole paper, but it was just kind of like this the impossible woman and sexist realism, and it's really interesting. And I really like want to figure out how to read the whole paper. Like maybe I can do it like through Chapman or something, but like I want to read the whole paper because I'm really interested to see like what the negative take is, because there's so much positive take out there, and I'm like, are we allowed to think anything negative about the show? So anyway, in looking at that, I found a lot of articles that really talked about how great the show is, you know, and how feminist it is. And one of them, and I think this is like pretty much how I feel about the show too. And it says, the show isn't perfect, but it's a long way better than most TV shows. And the best part is that the show doesn't even advertise itself as a feminist show or try to market itself to women. It simply treats feminism and feminist values as something normal. And I think that's what I really like. It's just, this is the show. It's kind of like Schitt's Creek, as like, you know, when homophobia just wasn't a part of the world. Like, feminism is just, we live in a feminist society. You know, and I really loved that. It's a little idealistic, and I like that.
Aside from Leslie, I mean, her mom had been big in politics in Pawnee as well, and that was never questioned. There's towards the end of the series, there's the campaign manager that comes in, who's, oh gosh, what's her name? The actress.
Isn't it Catherine? It's what's her face? It's Agatha, right?
Yes, I just can't remember the actress'
Catherine
name.
Hahn.
Thank you. And she's like big, powerful, like ball busting
in like a totally different way than Leslie.
I love the scene. There's a scene where she's coming to. This is when Leslie and Ben were married and they had the kids. It was when they did that like 3-year leap. And she comes to like talk to them, and she's wearing like a poncho. She's like, "Why are you doing that?" It's like, because everything in here is sticky. Your life is disgusting. My life is amazing. And then a kid does come through with like a roller with paint and gets it all over the back, and she's like, she like, poncho.
I love that. There's like some title of an article, something that it just turned into like a meme. But it was like, woman does not want to have children because she says they're sticky and messy or something like that. And I was like, accurate.
That's fair. That's fair.
But,
don't have children because they will get spit on you.
Yeah, right? Oh, I have... Well, anyway, I was going to say I have 2 favorite quotes, but...
Go ahead.
I don't know, are we there yet?
Are we there yet? Sorry. That gives me kind of PTSD because I do have a small child.
Oh, God.
I get a lot of like, what time is it? What time are we getting there? How much time until we're there?
She is definitely your child. You only have you to blame for this.
I just tell you, look at the clock and figure it out yourself. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I have 2. My original favorite quote is, hoes before bros, ovaries before broveries, uteruses before deuteruses. It's from the Galentine's Day celebration, which is like February 13th. Mm-hmm. It's when you get together and you celebrate all the wonderful women in your life, probably with a lot of waffles.
Which is like a total holiday now.
Yeah, which like, I love that it has just gone absolutely insane. But this quote that I didn't realize until I was reading one of these articles that I actually, like, this is probably my favorite quote. I am big enough so they're walking through and she has like images of like all these like inspirational women, I guess. And there's a picture of her and Leslie. And she says, I am big enough to admit that I'm often inspired by myself. And I just think, like, how many women do we watch ever say that?
Right.
Like, how many characters have ever said that? How many women in the world ever, like, notable women ever get to say that? And then I thought about, like, Matthew McConaughey and his whole thing of, like, my hero is, like, me from the future. And I was like, if a woman said that, like, what at that time? Like, now maybe, but, like, then I'm just like, what? And I just love that because it's like, you can be inspired by yourself.
Right?
Like, look at all those crazy, amazing things that you've done. And
I'm gonna start.
I know.
I'm gonna get a picture of myself and put it up on my wall.
I'm gonna put that quote in my office.
Yeah. My favorite quote was, we need to remember what's important in life. Friends, waffles, and work. Or waffles, friends, and work. It doesn't matter, but work is third.
Yes. Yes. And yes, so many waffles.
Yes.
Now I want waffles.
I do want waffles. That sounds really good.
I have a little baby waffle maker. But I don't have anything to put on the waffles, so here we are.
But yeah, in general, like, I do want to say, like, there are things that I'm, like, so happy that we got from Parks and Recreation. One is Valentine's Day, which has, like, I mean, that's, like, everybody's, like, most women at least acknowledge Valentine's Day now. At least most women in my circle.
I was going to say, I think, like, a lot of women who loved the show or who are, like, really attuned to pop culture or are of a certain age range.
Yes.
Like,
but, like, even if you haven't watched the show, like, you know what
Valentine's
Day is.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yes.
You're part of
transcended the show.
Yeah.
And then treat yourself.
Oh, treat yourself. I do love that.
Yeah. And then also 5,000 Candles in the Wind. And I put it in the show notes. So we'll link it in there. There's an article about the writer and composer for a lot of the music for the show. So for, like, Andy's band Mouse Rat, he did most of the wrote most of the songs and even performed as the drummer. It was funny. In almost every scene with Mouse Rat, he's the drummer, except for one where he was out of town, and that was the one episode where they actually featured the drummer the most in the whole series. Oh my god.
That's so sad.
But he wrote 5,000 Candles in the Wind.
Oh my god,
and like a few other things that I'm like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah. It is. There are things, like, from the show that I feel like just, like, treat yourself, like, really, it also transcends the show. People are just like, oh yeah, treat yourself. And
the reality is that unless you are Donna, you will be like Tom and be like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt.
True story.
So be careful. Be careful with treat yourself.
Treat yourself within budget.
Yeah, right.
But treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
How would you treat yourself?
Money no object, money an object.
Money no object.
I'd quit my job.
That would be a treat. I would travel.
I don't mean to say, like, my job specifically. I would quit working for other people.
Yes. I would do other work that I want to do.
Yeah. People are like, oh, you'd get bored. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
I don't want to work 40 hours a week.
I've never been bored.
Really, at the end of the day, like, that's the thing. I don't want to work 40 hours a week.
No, thank you.
So maybe I'd volunteer or do part-time work or do my own thing. But
Yeah.
I'd want to travel. That would be my treat.
Mm-hmm.
I would go on a monthly trip.
Yeah.
Maybe every 2 months, depending on how long I'm gone.
Yeah.
Because I do like to be home.
I was going to say every month.
Every other month.
That feels like a lot for you.
6 trips a year.
Yeah.
But some of them close.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 international trips a year and the rest domestic.
Yeah.
This is very specific.
After this like whirlwind turnaround, like I was like, oh, I would love to like just have a job where I would travel for work and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would.
All right.
It's really hard to be home for 3 days and then go on again and pack a whole suitcase again. I mean, most of my stuff is still packed. Like my travel stuff is still packed, but like it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I'm pretty tired.
So now within budget, treat yourself. Like if you could go treat yourself today, what would you do?
I don't know. Probably buy like a pair of shoes or something.
I know. I'd probably go shopping.
Yeah.
Buy a new outfit.
Or like take a week off.
Oh, that'd be nice.
You know, and just like go to the movies and go shopping and like do whatever I want for like a week.
I want to take myself out to a nice dinner.
Yeah.
By myself.
You could do that very easily.
I love going out to dinner by myself.
I don't. Only because sometimes I'm like, well, I mean, I figure out what to do, but I hate to be that person just like staring at my phone my whole life.
Oh, I bring a book.
Yeah.
I always bring a book when I eat by myself.
Yeah.
That's like, so we used to have, now I'm off at 1:30 every Sunday, but Friday. I meant Friday. I have half day Fridays. But at one of my previous jobs, every now and then she would do like, you get every Friday off in August. And it was like, great. So then we got 4 free Fridays.
Yeah.
And I would always try to do something like for myself those days. And so one day, it was like the best day. I went and got breakfast and read my book while I got breakfast. And then I went on a hike and did that. And then I went to the Spectrum and I went shopping. And then I had lunch by myself with a glass of wine. And then I went and saw a movie by myself. I went and saw The Farewell with Awkwafina.
Oh, God, I love that movie.
And it was like the best day. Like it was such a good day. And I only did things for myself that I wanted to do.
I think because you have a kid too, and a husband, it's a little bit different because like I generally do whatever I want anyway. So like a within budget treat yourself is like, well, I would probably do it anyway.
But that's good. You're living a treat yourself life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Maybe like my real treat yourself would be finally hiring a housekeeper.
Yeah.
Because Mama's got a job and has to cook every meal and wash every dish and clean every toilet. I have 2 toilets now, which is like a first world problem, but like cleaning 2 bathrooms when you're one person is like, come on. It's too much.
It was.
And having a full-time job, like it's too much.
That is, and I'm going to sound so privileged when I say it, but that is a luxury that I have that I can never go back on. Of just, I can keep it up. But then once a month, somebody will come and like do a really good job. Yeah. And then I just have to maintain.
And that's the thing. It's like,
that's just what I have time for.
I can clean 2 toilets and wipe out 2 sinks and a counter a week. I cannot like scrub a bathtub and scrub a floor and do the windows and the mirrors and like
the
do all of that
and
stuff.
The windowsills and the baseboards. Yeah. Those are the hardest things to find time to like do.
Because those are projects.
Right?
Yeah. So, and as long as you pay someone fairly, yes, it's a luxury, but like you're paying them to do a job.
I tip very well too.
Yeah. You take care of your people. You know what I mean? We wandered off.
I know. But I don't know. I think Leslie would like this conversation.
I think she would too.
She would appreciate it.
I could see us sitting in the office in Pawnee.
I know,
having
right?
This conversation.
I would love to be friends with them. I would totally work there. I looked into like government jobs for a while. Like after that show. Yeah. Like I bet there's like an this was like when I was
some kind of administrator or whatever.
Like administrative job somewhere. Like I could do that work. There wasn't really, the jobs that I saw them doing, I don't think necessarily always exist. They
probably don't.
At least not in Orange County.
And I was going to say, and also like where you are versus like Pawnee, India, like small town, totally different than a big city in comparison. Even though Orange County is like the suburbs, it's still pretty big cities. But after the West Wing, I like watching the West Wing and wanting that, but now I'm like, oh my God, I don't want that. But that was one thing I keep talking about the West Wing, I know, but every job they were really intentional that every job that they wrote was a job that existed.
Oh, I like that. Mm-hmm. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Someday I think I got through like season 1 of West Wing, and then life happened and I never picked it up. I will pick it up. Someday we will talk about the West Wing.
Yeah. There are parts of it that have not aged well.
Sure.
Because of the way that
it's timing.
Aaron Sorkin tends to write women. But it will all, like, to me, there's a podcast called The West Wing Weekly where they have, like, every episode they've done a rewatch and then, like, talked about it. And it's hosted by Rishi Herway and then Josh Malina, who is on the show but like later in the series, and they had and then they would have like people from the show on, and I don't remember who it was, if it was like Rob Lowe or somebody else, but they were trying to decide between the West Wing and something else, and their partner or whoever was like, this other thing is a great show. It's great. The West Wing is going to be the greatest show that has ever been on television and will ever be on television. And for me, it's a little bit true. Yeah. Like, it's just, even with its problems, it's like a perfect show. Yeah. But anyway. But also, so is Parks and Rec. Yeah. In a totally different way. Yes.
And I feel like Parks and Rec will age well. I mean, it's like 10 years old now. Almost 10 years old from the end of it.
It's almost, from the beginning, it's almost 20. Yeah. It's like 15 years right now.
So I think it'll age well. There is problematic elements, which we haven't discussed. Yeah. But,
But, of course, I mean, nothing is perfect, as we have always said, and will always say. Nothing is perfect. We can be critical of the things we love. We're still allowed to love them.
Well, it's hard to summarize all of the issues with 7 seasons worth of things.
7 seasons are long.
So, tell us your thoughts.
That whole, like, breakout, though, with Megan Mullally, I loved it. I loved it because, like, they're actually married, and, like, it's cute and it's funny, but I was like, where are we going? What is happening? Why do you have cornrows? Like, what is going on? So there was, like,
that was wild.
That was just like kind of wild, where I was like, what are we doing? Yeah.
I didn't like when they merged with Partridge, Indiana. Yeah. And like, I like Parker Posey, but like, I didn't love that arc. Yeah. Even though it did bring in some new characters. Like, that's how we got Craig. Yeah.
Like, there are some, it does need, when you're on for that long too, like, you need something to like infuse, like, revitalize the show.
Bring in a reason to bring in new characters.
There's only so many pits you can fill. There's only so many, like, times that Andy can marry April. You know what I mean? Right? Like, there's only so many things you can do, and then you got to do something else. So yeah. But anyway, all right. Well,
thanks for listening and for watching.
Yeah.
However you choose to intake our media,
whatever it is, watching, listening, both.
But don't forget to have thoughts, opinions, and questions. Yes. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
But Is It Podcast is produced by Traci Mueller and Beth Hofeldt.
The artwork is by Anna Apperson.
And music by Devin Wall.